फतेह सांझी करिए। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा,
वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।
I'm very thankful today for the opportunity to be a part of the commemoration of Safar Shahadat here at Gurdwara Sahib. I want to express my gratitude to the Sevadars and all the organizers for the initiative for bringing us together this week to reflect, learn, and to remember together as a Sangha. I learned so much from Ruhaani Kaur Benji yesterday about her thoughtful and engaging talk of Deewan as Safar Shahadat. And through her presentation, she guided us through the historical context of the 7-month siege at Anandpur Sahib, the deceitful promises made by Bihari Raja, led by Ajmer Chand, along with the Mughal authorities of Sirsa and Mughal Fauj, acting under the authority of Aurangzeb in the Delhi Shahi Darbar. She reminded us of the extreme starvation and the hardships faced by the Sangat inside of Anandpur Sahib, and helped us understand the difficult circumstances that led to the evening of the 6th of Pol, when Guru Gobind Singh Ji, in consultation with the 40 Darbari Singhs, made the momentous decision to leave Anandpur Sahib in these harsh winter conditions. Their caravan, strategically organized into specifically 3 smaller jathas or groups, had reached Kiratpur without facing really any immediate attack, until the betrayal from the oath-sworn Mughals in Raja. From there, the Sikh forces continued their movement forward, leading to the engagement at Shaheedi, a small sandy hill, is what it's called. At this location, Bhai Singh Ji, one of the sons of Bhai Mani Singh Ji, had led the morcha, and he deliberately had worn the chola of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, creating the impression that the Guru himself was present at the front. And from this elevated position at this Shaheedi, because, in any strategic military effort like this, the side that has the higher ground is the side that has the most advantage. They inflicted heavy losses on the advancing enemy forces, killing hundreds of attackers and successfully misleading and blocking them, causing great confusion. This strategic stand had delayed the pursuing forces and allowed Guru Sahib and the remaining Jathe to continue marching forward to the banks of the Sirsa River. Bhai Singh Ji and the 50 Singhs with him attained Shaheedi at Shaheedi, and their sacrifice is commemorated today at Gurdwara Sahib, built in their remembrance. What really stood out to me most in my research was the level of strategy and organization that was showed by Guru Sahib and his Fauj, from the careful structure of the Jathe, deliberate delays, their positioning, even in retreat. The Panth did not act randomly. Every decision had served the survival and the continuity of the collective and of their mission. It reminds us today that Sikh history is not only spiritual, but alongside that, synonymously with that, it is deeply strategic. It's rooted in planning and coordination and shared responsibility. It is especially meaningful that we commemorate Safar Shahadat during this time of the year, particularly as a diaspora. In many places around the world, also the States, particularly the States, December is already a season of holidays, of giving, family, reflection. By remembering our gurus, taking additional time for engaging in Naam, giving up comfort to help us remember our Shaheeds, reflecting on the sacrifices of our history, we participate in that spirit, rather we even heighten it, while bringing forward the values our gurus gave us, of justice, of courage, and compassion. Initiatives like this are part of our strategy today. They bring unity, align our understanding, and they preserve our history and literature for future generations. We as Sikhs are unparalleled at making history, but there's a lack of preserving our glorious history. And we've been reminded it is our responsibility to research more, to talk about these events within our families and our friends, to continue sharing and documenting this history, so it remains both living and understood. As the Sikh Jathe had moved beyond Shaheedi, they approached the banks of the Sirsa River in the early hours of the morning. And before attempting the crossing, despite this really tense situation that they were in, and this fleeting time, Guru Gobind Singh Ji had asked the Jathe with him to recite Asa Ki Baat. Asa Ki Baat, composed primarily by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, is a sustained critique of hollow ritual, false authority, ego-driven power. It emphasizes that truth must be lived through action, humility, integrity, especially in moments where fear or survival tempt moral compromise. The recitation occurred at dawn and the traditional hour of Rag Asa. It served to anchor the Panth in Chardikala before confronting the danger ahead. But it also, in this moment, our Guru had helped set this incredible precedent, because in this moment we proved that our devotion to Vaheguru, to Sikhi, it cannot, it should not, and it will not be compromised due to just circumstance. The Sirsa River itself was not ordinarily a really big obstacle, but its geography made it unpredictable and dangerous. As a seasonal chor originating in the Shivalak foothills, the Sirsa is marked by steep gradients, loose soil, shallow channels that make it really vulnerable to sudden flash flooding. Unseasonal winter rains had caused rapid runoff, transforming what was usually a manageable crossing into a violently swollen and fast-moving floodplain. The crossing had took place in the very early morning of the 7th of Bull, in freezing conditions. The visibility was so poor, and while enemy forces had pressed from the rear, there was both an increase of urgency and risk. But rather than crossing as a single body, the Sikh Jatha had attempted to cross in dispersed groups. Many Singhs were swept away by strong currents and attained Shaheed. Handwritten scriptures, compilations known as Vidyasar, along with our weapons and personal belongings, were lost to the floodwaters. It was during this crossing that the event, remembered as Pandarwaada Vichoda, the separation of the Guru's family, occurred. Guru Gobind Singh Ji successfully crossed the Sirsa with the elder Shahzade, and in this chaos of the flood, Mata Gujri Ji was separated from the Guru while accompanying the younger Shahzade. The force of the current carried them downstream away from the main Sikh group, and at the same time, Mata Sundari Ji and Mata Sahib Kaur Ji, accompanied by Bhamani Singh Ji and other Sikhs, had crossed to another route completely on their way to Delhi. These separations occurred simultaneously and under extreme conditions, setting each group on a distinct and consequential path. The crossing of the Sirsa did not end hostilities, though. They weren't completely free. Soon afterward, hill forces attacked the blocking Jatha by Jeevan Singh Ji alongside Bibi Bikhiyan near the village of Chakhiyan. Sangat Ji, as we remember the love for the Guru and the sacrifices of countless Singhs, we must also remember the selfless devotion and courage of countless Singhs. One such powerful example is Bibi Bikhiyan Ji. During the siege of Anandpur Sahib, when Guru Gobind Singh Ji asked civilians to leave the fort and to protect their families if they must, Bibi Bikhiyan Ji responded with unwavering resolve, saying that the Guru was her family, the Panth was her family, and that she could not abandon them. She chose to remain and stand alongside the Sikhs until her Shaheed. Not long after, the third major engagement took place near the boundary of Ropar and Malakpur area. Here, Bhai Bajittar Singh Ji had led his Jatha in a fierce clash with the pursuing forces. All the Singhs of this Jatha had also attained Shaheed. Bhai Bajittar Singh Ji himself was gravely wounded during the battle, but succeeded in delaying the enemy long enough for the Guru and the elder Shahzada to move forward. Under constant pursuit, Guru Gobind Singh Ji had reached Kotla Nahang and the fortified Haveli of Nahang Khan, a Pathan chief who was devoted as a follower of the Guru for many, many years. Sahibzada Ajit Singh Ji had brought the wounded Bachtar Singh Ji to Kotla Nahang so that he could receive care from Nahang Khan and his daughter, Bibi Mumtaz Ji. Nahang Khan was a devotee for so long, and the Guru had a lot of trust in him as well. And that area was the only place that Guru Sahib had stopped on his way to Chamkor Sahib. When the Mughals of this area kind of surrounded the Haveli and demanded a search, Nahang Khan had said, forbid them to go inside. They asked him, are you having any enemies? Are there any Ghafirs inside? And he said, no, there's none. And he also said, inside, there's my daughter, Mumtaz Ji, and then her husband, my son-in-law. So in this moment, he told no lies. Because first of all, he never saw Singhs or the Khalsa Panth as an enemy against Muslims in Islam. And then as well, BBG had heard from this inside that he had made the excuse of her being the wife of Bhai Bajtar Singh Ji. And while he attained Shaheed, her love and devotion for Guru Gobind Singh Ji and the morals of Sikhi had led her to live a life of a widow. She lived until 133 years of age, some say, in Bandagi of Allah and Waheguru. The site is now commemorated as Gurdwara Yadgar, Bibi Mumtaz Ji Sahib. When we pause here and reflect, this episode offers us something very profound. We see the deep trust that Guru Gobind Singh Ji placed in Nahang Khan, and equally the unwavering devotion that Nahang Khan and his family had showed the Guru. Nahang Khan didn't share the Guru's faith necessarily, yet he stood firmly beside him. He refused to demonize or vilify the Khalsa, and instead he chose to stand on the side of truth, protection, and humanity. It reminds us that the struggles of this time, it wasn't a war of religion. It was a conflict of particular ideology between oppression and justice, fear and courage, ego and humility. Nahang Khan and his family aligned themselves with the principle of Sarbatta Palla, the welfare of all. Where there are Rajput Hindu Rajas and Muslim Mughals, there will always be Nahang Khans, Moti Lal Meras, Todur Mals, fearlessly fighting and supporting what is right and what is true and what is in line with an ideology of righteousness. It feels particularly relevant today, in wake of tragedies like the recent shooting in Australia, amid ongoing global conflicts, humanitarian crises, many of them carried out in the name of religion. This history reminds us of something essential. What binds us together as human beings is so much stronger than what takes us apart. Compassion, moral courage, standing up for what is right, it transcends labels. History teaches us that allyship, integrity, humanity are not limited by faith or background or identity, but guided by our Sikh values of universal brotherhood. The Shaheeds and Great Khalsa Panth set an indelible mark on our history and on those that we are as people. Their courage, discipline, and unity define the standard that we inherit today. The question remains is, how will we choose to remember them? And more importantly, how do we choose to live the legacy that they have left behind for us? Bol chuk maaf karni ji. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki